Hi, my name is Silver Filter, and I'd like to take a moment to give you a general idea on the one on one music production course. Now, the course is split into 12 topics. Now, it depends on the pace of the student if they want to do a topic per session or meetup or to cover two or three topics per session. Now, some people prefer to do one topic and some prefer to do two or three because of two reasons. One is to finish quicker, and the other one is for those who live far from the studio and would want to maximize the trip. So it really depends on the student on how they want to go about in respect to how many topics. Now, in terms of schedule, um, it's kind of loose. So I'm not strict on students not making it. Now, I have an understanding on the students um, having commitments in work or family. So let's say I have a student who's scheduled every Tuesday at 2 p.m. and can't make it on this coming Tuesday. Then all we need is just to let me know that we won't be able to meet, and then we can just move it the week after. So that's how the schedule is. So about the topics, so we go into um, the start, the very start. So what does a student need to get into music production? The gear. Um, I help them pick out gear if they're still in the buying stage, so that or recommend and help them choose a piece of gear that will match their workflow. And then of course we set it all up and I help them set up their gear, optimize it, and then choose the right software, getting familiar with it. And then since this is one-on-one, the whole course is customized to the student in terms of the examples that I show and some of the tips and tricks that are particular to the s- to the wants and the needs of the student. So let's say a student wants to learn dubstep, then I share some tips that are used in dubstep programming. Now, the course isn't really just focused on electronic music, but it's also focused on any type of music, may it be rock or if you're a songwriter and you just want to create backing tracks for your tracks or whatever. It is generally a whole music production course, so it's not very genre specific. Now that's where it all starts. Now once we're familiar with everything, we jump into the whole production course. So we start with the drum programming, and we start with beat making foundations, what to use for drums, and then the types of drum programming that one can employ. And then we also discuss creative uses of loops so that you can integrate them in your productions. And then getting familiar with your sequencer, how to sequence so that you can do your productions easily. And then we jump into programming with zero knowledge on notes. Now, this is uh, a lesson that helps a student get a grasp and or get a feel of the keyboard, regardless if they don't know anything about notes. So this is just to simplify the whole process of programming when they're making their tracks. And then we go into basic synthesis, which tackles understanding of the flow of the synthesizer, which helps the student tweak sounds so that they won't be relying much on presets, or if they want to tweak presets for their to match the track that they're working on. Now, of course, again, we also discuss styles, well, which covers certain tips or tricks or things that are more related to a particular style. So that's also part of the synthesis method. Which what comes to mind is of course dubstep. So how do people or how do producers tweak create tracks for dubstep? I mean patches or sounds for dubstep. So that's one example. And then we also talk about builds, breaks, and effects. So it's getting to know the effects that came with your DAW and getting familiar with it. And then we also discuss builds and transitions, what you can use, the different uh, manners that you can the different styles or the different things that you can use to for better transitions and builds, which will come in very handy to build up your arrangement. Now, of course, if you want to use vocals, if you want to add vocals or recorded material or instruments, or if you want to sample a turntable, then we also discuss that in the recording session. Um, it's the understanding the flow and the equipment that are needed and the how to of doing all of that in terms of recording. Now, we also discuss track arrangement. It's the basic understanding of track arrangement, and also deconstructs the track arrangements that are particular to your style. So, I also give a basic guideline or a formula to get you started on your style. And so we get into mixing. So in mixing, we discuss the um, understanding a real world mixer and how it works. Um, and then we go through, of course, the mixing process from start to finish. So at this point, the student more or less has already worked on his track. So at this point, he can already apply what he learns in mixing to start and uh, get from um, get familiar with the mixing concept as he works on his own material. And then we get into basic mastering, which is just to help you beef up your tracks. Now, this is just a basic mastering session, which involves understanding the concept of it, the tools and the flow, and what are needed to finally render out your master, so that if you want to release it on your own or submit to labels, then you already have and you're prepared for it. Now, of course, um, the whole point of it is to help the student release a track. So the last session would be releasing and getting signed. Now, this would be if the student wants to release his own material, then we go over what he needs or what he needs to do for him to be able to release it. Like we talk about album covers, formats, how to upload, where to upload it, and then we also go into the possibility of the student submitting to labels. So we also go about with the requirements of different record labels, how to prepare your track and submission to prepare for the best impact for when you send out your demos. And then, of course, after all of that, you also need to do marketing for yourself. So we also go into that where we talk about social media, where to go, what to use, where to put your tracks, where to share it, and how to get the tracks to the people or the potential fans that you may have. So basically, that's the general idea behind the whole course, and I hope that it answered some of your questions in case you have some, and at least you'll be better informed to decide whether this is for you or not. So I thank you for watching, and God bless.